more stable, man. No, it's good. I'll just make this more weight. Nah, you good. You good. You good. We good right there. Nah, we good. I trust my phone more than I do the Yeah. What's up, y'all? Peace, my name. That you dubbed that. Yeah, I want to thank everybody for coming in. You know what I'm saying? We about to discuss some serious topics and a lot of things that's going on. I need my theme music. Everybody come on in, come on in, come on in. Everybody come on in. Unplug the daft out that bitch. Yeah, I want to thank everybody for coming in. Everybody just come in, come in. Listen to the theme song, man. Hey, yo, y'all can hear this? Can y'all hear this? Like, clear? Is it low? Can y'all hear me good? Oh no, I'm not cursing. I'm not gonna be cursing. Mine. Good. This the theme song. I just want to say R.I.P. Hold up. R.I.P. to my brother Fetty Ching Beans. I'm gonna give him another 2 minutes, and then I'm gonna see if he in. Then I'm gonna bring him in. Tripped out. Let's give him some time. He should be coming in right now. Love is love. Love to you too, bro. Yeah, peace and love to everybody, man. It's okay, ma. HEAR, like to listen and hear as is in the place. I don't know the different one is that probably a noun, right?
To the back. Oh, it's gonna flip you. That's why you gotta keep it up.
There go my brother. Peace, my brother.
What's going on, bro?
How you doing? Ain't nothing. Just chilling, man. Just chilling. How you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Looking forward to this.
Yeah, man. Me too. I just want to say thank you for giving us, I say us as a community, the opportunity, you know what I mean, just to sit down and kick it with us, man. It mean a lot to us, you know what I mean, coming from somebody from your experience. Like I said, I've been on a couple minutes just sending invites to, you know, people just for them to tune in. Once again, I'm going to save it when we all done and post it on the Tag Mag podcast. I think I just want to start off with just asking like how you doing, how the family doing and everything like that during this pandemic and everything like that.
Everybody's good. I mean, this pandemic has gotten everybody, you know, to do things a little bit differently. So, you know, but to me, I'm taking advantage of it. As far as I see it, this is like a reset. This is a reset for all of us. And now's the time for you to rethink everything. Rethink your life. Rethink what you've done this far. Rethink what you've done and not done. You may want to improve on some things, maybe learn a new language. You know, you got laid off. That's a message for you to change jobs, change careers. You know, you're spending more time with the family, work on the relationships. So it's a time to sit back and just reassess yourself. Not to say you did anything wrong, but you can definitely do things differently going forward. And look at this because you don't want to end up in this position again. You know, especially when it comes to being short of food and can't go certain places. So you decide, you know what, from now on, I'm going to build up my pantry.
You start making you look at what's really important in your life. You start putting things in perspective.
Yeah. And like I said, not to say you did anything wrong, but the question is, how do I do things better?
How can I improve?
You know, and you've never had this chance before and hopefully you'll never get the chance again. So take advantage of it and just reassess your life.
Mm-hmm. That's a good message for everybody. Hey, before we go on any further, I know you had a hectic Sunday and I had a hectic Sunday too. I just want to I lost a friend of mine over the weekend. I just want to have a moment of silence if we could do that
Absolutely.
real quick for everybody, for my boy Wabine Combs, Beaner. It's a moment of silence. Uh, thanks, thanks, man. Thanks for that, man. Rest in peace, Beans. Now I want to start off with, I know the temperature of the country right now and everything. You know, I'm a 5%er, like, and I see y'all and y'all support the Day of the Babies a lot. And where we come from, we deal with you know, pro-righteousness, anti-devilishment, basically. So we deal with home before we deal with abroad. So before we start all that, I want to start by talking about your book, which is A Guide to Community Policing. And before we do that, I want to just you to introduce yourself as an author, lieutenant. Let them know how many years you've been on the force. Give them a little bit about you, then we'll jump right into your book.
Okay. Born and raised in Patterson all my life. Um, I was a police officer for 25 years. I spent my last 2.5 years in internal affairs. I was a member of the Community Policing Division. I was a lieutenant there, and it was one of the most outstanding jobs I've ever had. I think being a police officer is probably one of the best jobs, especially for me, that I could have, because I get to help people. You know, realistically, I get paid to do the nice to people. I get paid to make a difference in people's lives, and there are people doing it for free. And you know, and that was my job, and I enjoyed it, and I enjoyed working with the people who felt the same what I felt. So that's the biggest thing, and I was able to provide for my family through a civil service job, which is very, very important. Very
Helping
important.
others. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So is the Guide to Community Policing 3.0, and it talks about what we can do to make a difference. And when I say we, doesn't matter who you are. It's not about just the police, not about just the community. How can I start to make a difference in my community, policing my community? So it's not always about the uniform. You can police your community. You can see things that are wrong and start to say, okay, we want to fix this. We want to clean the streets. We want to make sure all the neighbors come together and we don't have dirty streets. We want to abandon house. We're going to tell the mayor, listen, we need this house closed up because it's causing problems on the block for our young people. So when you talk about community policing, people think that it's police. It's not necessarily police. You can bring the police in, but it's not necessarily just the police. It's everyone policing your neighborhood and getting the things done that need to get done. Because once the community starts to police itself, there's certain things the community can't do. And that's when they need the police. And the police come in and help them do what they need to do. DPW comes in, community development comes in. And all of a sudden, you just change the whole neighborhood because everybody's invested. You're talking human capital. Human capital is very, very important. When you start to invest in the people, you can change the neighborhood. And that's from any viewpoint. So basically, you know, the book goes through that. It talks about that, improving the neighborhood, how to keep people safe, how to deal with certain things, and anyone can do it no matter where you're sitting at.
Like for instance, I tagged you in the video. It's probably at 750,000. It was a local video dealing with a brother that got arrested for making a threat to a police officer. But during the stance, you know the video I'm talking about?
I don't recall.
Over the weekend. Anyway, it was a police officer. Well, the bottom line is this. The how I feel is the tension and everything that's going on right now. I feel like back when I was coming up a little bit, if I was a police officer, Dalton, and when I came, he said, yo, this is my place that I work or whatever. He patrolled.
Right.
I feel like he should know who the influential people are that hangs on the block, the owner of the store that he said, you know, like you should know the old guy inside. They should, when you pull up on the scene, it should be like, oh yeah, officer, come here. Like they should know you. If how can you police a community that you're not trying to get to know or even know? You don't know the lady that lives here. You don't know the corner store. You don't know the guys that hang out in the corner. I feel like if it's a little bit more like, oh, you're a Giants fan, oh, the bum Giants, like, you know, a more of a personal thing. And it seemed like he wasn't professional at all. That I wish you had seen the video. We could talk about it better. I feel like the temperature, he kind of aggravated the person instead of just saying, I understand why you're angry, write your ticket and just go about it. He just like took his time and eventually something was gonna happen. You know what I'm saying? So how do you feel
Was
about
that on
that?
Summer Street?
Knowing the community,
Was
16th Ave or somewhere over there, yeah,
16th Ave,
something like
yes. I seen
okay,
it.
how do you
I
feel
seen
about
it.
how he handled that?
Number one, you have to I ain't gonna say you have to realize, because I hate to say it to people, but we're men. We're all men. And when we're challenged, we act a certain way. And when you do that, especially as a police officer, you're looked at a certain way. And you can't always step up to that challenge. The person's not challenging your manhood. They're challenging your job. Okay, so find a way to address this a different way. Because you can go back and forth with this guy all day, or you can say, you know what, here's your ticket, I'm gone, have a good life. Those are, but you have to be able to think things happen because you don't need to be there. It's just going to escalate. Give him his ticket, let him talk, give him every ticket he's supposed to have, go about your business. At the same time, you don't have to antagonize a police officer either. Yeah. So what you have here, you have two men, the egos got involved, neither one wants to back down, and this just goes on word for word for word, and this is what men do. And it doesn't make it right, but somebody has to take the higher ground, okay? Because if you reverse it, let's say the officer walked up and he was being just nasty. He was antagonizing the store owner. The store owner may want to take the higher ground and say, you know, officer, whatever you say, might be my tickets, and I'll be inside.
I believe he was blocking the guy was blocking the curb was the ticket, but he said my uncle owns this store that I'm in front of. But the cop had no knowledge of any of that. Let me ask you this. What are some of the steps required to become a police officer? First of all, what is required? Because I got a girl, my friend's daughter just became like she's going to be a cop. She just got accepted. Like, what are the steps to be a cop first?
Well, you got to have a high school diploma.
Okay.
High school diploma, New Jersey driver's license. Then we get into your background check. Okay, you have to have decent credit.
You have to have decent credit to be a cop?
Oh, absolutely.
I guess that shows your responsibility, right? That you
absolutely. And again, and we've seen it here in town. You don't want somebody on the job that don't pay their bills. First time they're around a bunch of money, things happen. So we want to see that you're responsible.
I don't want nobody that pay their bills that's gonna hit me upside the head neither. I don't care if you pay your bills, man. You know what I mean? Is it a psychic evaluate? What about the psyche part of being a cop?
There is a psych evaluation. The psych evaluation is an all-day process. When you go for your psych evaluation, you have to take lunch because it's a long process that you go through, and you get questioned, and all these questions are asked you about your background and who you are, and if you're deceased, family, well, mainly about you. If there's something in there about your family that you put in your report, they may ask you about it. Okay, you got a brother that's been arrested for dealing drugs, doesn't affect you. The question may come up, what's you and your brother's relationship? How do you feel about that, this and that? And you answer the question. That is not going to stop you from being a cop. Okay, it doesn't just eliminate you. So this is a part of the process.
Not to cut you off. What about some conflict of interest? Because let's say if a police officer's mother was was in a relationship coming up, he watched his mother get beat, and then he gets a call to a domestic violence, like he pulls up to the scene, it's a domestic violence case. Isn't it an ulterior, isn't that conflict of interest? Like he already, or if his son OD'd or for like the sergeant's son OD'd or for a drug and then he's chasing drug dealers, isn't it like a conflict of interest where that person's psyche already like, I really don't like this type of person or that, or black skin, or even if they was bullied, they went to this high school, they was bullied by black people or something, now they become a cop. Like, isn't it something that's a conflict of interest to, you know what I mean, a job like evaluating like deeper into their history of
That you make a good point, but here's my issue with that. When you throw things in like that, those things are used to eliminate people. So you got to be careful when you start to put stuff like that in there, because all of a sudden you're getting judged based on the fact of, well, you grew up in a certain neighborhood where you had friends that were dealing drugs, so you may be okay with people dealing drugs. Or you had a family member that died or overdosed, you may be a little bit harder on people that were dealing drugs. So when you start adding these limitations, people can use it to eliminate people like you from the process. Because you have some things, based on where you live, you have some things in your history that people could easily bring up. You know, have you ever seen anybody before or know anybody was shot and killed? All of a sudden, well, you may not be a good cop because you're going to go after murderers, you know, that kind of thing. So you have to be careful when you put too many limitations in, because people will use it. You know what I'm saying? So I understand your point, but I don't want to start eliminating people. It doesn't make you a bad guy because your mother was involved in domestic violence incidences. Does that mean that you're going to go to a domestic violence incident and lose your mind? Absolutely not. You know, you might be the guy that says, listen, I've been through this, and you go and talk to the woman and say, listen, I've been through this before. If he puts his hand on you once, he'll do it again. You need to have him removed from the house and have him removed for good. You may be a good person to be almost like a social worker because you've been through it. So your experience,
it might be better too. Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
You wouldn't believe what a person, and I don't know you well, but you wouldn't believe what kind of experiences you would bring to the table. You've seen some things. You know how to talk to people. The stress level is different. So those things from in your past can really benefit you when it comes to being a cop.
In your book, you mentioned the term traditional policing and unorthodox policing. What is the what's the difference in that?
Traditional policing is going out and just riding down the street and seeing people and really just doing your job. It's really just going out. They call you on the radio, you go to your job, and the job is done. You just go back to riding around. If you had a clear corner, you clear a corner. That's fine. Unorthodox policing is exactly what it says. It's unorthodox. You find different ways to police. You find different ways to, and I want to say, I guess, play on people's psyche to what they expected you to do versus what you want to do. You pull up to the corner and you stop the car and you get out. The people on the corner expecting you, like, yo, hands up against the wall, turn around, this and that. You got the car. Right. Fellas, listen, this is who I am. This is my name. Okay, this is my post. All right. And here's the issue. We get phone calls about you being on the corner. You really can't stand in front of the store, this and that, because it makes the job harder for me. You know, it makes people can't go in the store. Your grandmother got to walk in the street. This is a different conversation. Now, they didn't expect that. Now, half of them, they walk away and say, that's some BS. However, they still didn't expect me to get out of the car and just talk to them. So when you do that to people, people start to see things a little bit differently because it's unorthodox. Patterson has done things like coffee with a cop has been done. They did skating with a cop, skateboarding with a cop, biking with a cop, where they gave the young boys on the bike a tour through the city. You have to find ways to get to the community and meet people where they are. You talk to them. You can't just clear corners all day. Find out who people are. And you can say, when you ride by the corner, you know that this is the guy that lives in this house. Okay, now if there's an issue with the house, you talk to him. You talk to him, listen, I know you live here. I know these are your friends, but it's a lot of people out here and we're getting calls on it. But at least you know who lives there when you ride by.
See, all right, it'll be dismissed not to bring this up because I know you're a Pattersonian, but a lot of some other cops really not from the towns that they work. In your 25 years, could you give me not a story or an example of some racism that you might have seen in the force that you say, oh, whoa, like what you doing? Or like to where just some, I mean, it could, I'm sure it could be what you call it, promotions, any which way. But did you ever see, not really, I don't want to get into the money side of it, but just have you ever seen some things where you just seen like, where's this guy from, or like some racist thing that you know had to, because they say it's a brotherhood that y'all stick together, but a man is, like you said, a man is a man. If you got certain morals or got certain feelings, is there any example that you saw racism blatant, just like?
Absolutely. And let me say this first. When people talk about sticking together and that blue wall they talk about, you never hear a cop use the term blue wall, because we don't see it.
I didn't.
We don't see it as a blue wall. There's you and your friends, your real crew. There's a certain amount of loyalty that you all have to each other. Okay, there's a certain amount of loyalty, and there's a limit to it. Okay, you'll stick by certain people, but you ain't going to jail for them. So there's always a certain amount of loyalty that a man has for people that he considers close to him or his friends, and that's normal. But now it comes.
But you know what that what that sound like though, and that sound like you're saying like you'll stick with him if you could get away with it, but if the other officer is gonna, not you personally, but the officer will stand by you if you can get away with it. But if he's gonna get in trouble, then he'll back up. It's like saying like,
you don't know, so you need to stop that behavior because you're a part of it. So you don't know if you're gonna get in trouble or not. So what you need to do is stop the behavior before it gets that far. I'm not saying you're in a locked basement, so it's okay to beat somebody. What I'm saying is it's okay, it's wrong to beat somebody. That's the thing. Wrong is wrong. And you gotta say that listen, bro, you can't do that. And I've been in a room with people who have said, I heard the term wigger used. And I looked up, was like, what'd you say? He said, I called him a wigger. I said, what's a wigger? A black person, a white person is acting black. I said, okay, if the W is for white, what part is for black?
What you saying?
He stops and he thinks. He said, well, you know, I'm saying he just acting black. Okay, but the W is for white. What part of that word is for the black person?
If he said wigger, he said nigga before. Yeah, he just wasn't saying in front of you.
Right.
But he'll call out a white dude that's acting.
And he said, well, I didn't mean it that way. You know, I apologize. You know, I would never say that. Okay. And whether he could have said the N-word yesterday or this morning. However, we're clear now. We're clear now. You ain't gonna say any kind of igger in front of me. So we straighten that out. And we were still cool after that, but you have to straighten people out. I can't tell you what to say and do. What I can do is tell you what to say and do in front of me. That I got control over. So that's what you have to do.
A friend of mine asks, is it a such thing of quotas and the pressure for y'all to make certain arrests or tickets or certain just to be, you know, when you pull over more people, or you just harassing more, not harassing, but just more contact with people? Is it a pressure for quotas and to make certain quotas?
Absolutely
with a financial
not.
gain to it? Absolutely not. That's bogus.
Absolutely not. Quotas, listen, quotas are illegal.
So it ain't, you got to make 17 arrests this week.
No, does that? Nobody's asking about how many arrests you had, but people may ask you when you have a log sheet that shows what you did, and it's kind of like productivity. And the question is, what'd you do today? Okay, what'd you do today? You were on the road for 11 hours. You bring me a sheet in, and you got 2 jobs on it. What did you do the rest of the day? The city of Patterson is paying you good money. So what did you do? So that's the question. But nobody's saying you need to write this many tickets. It's illegal. And first of all, nobody would want to do that. A boss puts himself in that position, he's going to be in trouble. And it's wrong.
Was you working? You said 25 years. You was working with the Lawrence Myers tragedy?
I just started.
So you was a rook, like.
Yeah. I think that was 91.
No,
it was 95. I think 95, 96.
Yeah.
I came out in 94. So I was fairly, yeah, I was new.
You was patrolling it?
Yeah.
Do you remember what the penalty was with those officers? What happened? What sentence they had?
That officer ended up getting fired.
That's it? No time.
No, I don't know.
All right.
No, I don't think there was anything. I don't think there was anything that said he did anything criminal. Not that I recall. I know he did lose his job.
If let me ask you this: had you been on the scene for the George Floyd incident, how you would have handled that?
It's very easy.
You never seen nothing like that in all your policing. Let me ask you that.
No, you almost made me curse on Facebook.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
No,
Yeah.
no.
No, never in all your.
Here's the thing. It should never get to that. I have a responsibility, okay, to every human being. I have a responsibility, okay? So all I have to do is walk over to you, because now remember, this went on a long time, time. So all I have to do is walk over to you and says, bro, let him up. I got him. That's all I do. And if I do that, this guy is probably still going to be alive. You're probably not going to go to jail. You may have some other charges, but all I have to do is interrupt the flow of events. Okay? I can't stand around and watch you do this for 7, 8 minutes. Number one, it's wrong. Number two, we both gonna be in trouble. And I'm gonna put everything I got on the line because you're doing something stupid. So all I have to do is walk over to you and tap you and says, yo, let him up. I got him.
But
and that should be it.
Is it a difference in rank though? Like, because the Chinese cop was like, it seemed like they were all equal. I couldn't tell was one, you know what I'm saying? Like they might
doesn't matter.
Listen to it.
It doesn't matter your rank, okay? At that point, it doesn't matter your rank because remember something. Again, we're human. We get emotionally involved. If you just fought with somebody, you're emotionally involved, okay? And you're not that concerned with him right now. I'm not emotionally involved. I didn't fight you. So I understand where you are, but let him up. Let him up. That's enough. The guy said, I can't breathe. We've seen this before. Let him up. That ain't hard to do. That is not hard to do.
Ronald Cohen was his name, right?
Yeah.
Ronald Cohen. Yeah, he was not. That should have been a lawsuit. That should be like a lawsuit or something.
I don't know how far that went in the courts.
What do you think should happen to the 4 officers?
Well, all 4 should be charged. That's just my opinion. Okay, that's just my opinion. Just from watching that, because the one, obviously, the other 3, by letting this go on, you have a responsibility to everybody. You have a responsibility. Anybody breaking the law, you have a responsibility to stop them. This is not hard to understand.
So if I'd have went, keep it real. If I'd have ran up to him, right, like, yo, let him, and like did a 2-hand push on him or something, just to push him off. Now they grab me, arrest. What my charge would have been? Interference?
You mean if you as a civilian?
If one of the guys that was watching there, yeah, they was there, and they ran up to him and pushed the officer off, like just to get him off, just like, fuck it, I'm gonna get arrested, but I'm sorry for cursing. Push him off, him off, and keep going. My charge will be in.
You'll get charged. You'll get charged with interfering. Okay, you will get charged. And from what I see in the video, the first young man that walked up says, "Officer, listen, he can't breathe." He wasn't being mean or nasty. He was saying, listen, he can't breathe. So that's one thing. But when you start getting involved, and some people say, well, I would have ran over there and pushed the officer off of him. That's what people say. But I respect, I expected the officers, I expected them to remove that guy from that situation. And it's very easily done by saying, I got him, let him up. That's it. That's it. You would have removed him from that, got him the medical attention he needed, and hopefully you would have saved his life, and that would have been it. Then we can go back and address the fact of how long he had his leg on his head. That can be addressed, you know. But you got to make the right decision there, and it's a quick decision, and it's easy to see wrong. You see it. You get there. You see the guy say, "I can't breathe." Why are we doing this? Let him up. That's all. Fight's over.
I'm not a perfect person. I made some mistakes in my life, right? I've never been to prison, luckily. But I've been to the county jail before, right? And I've done a 3 with a 1 back 99 or something like that. physical abuse. I seen some things in the county, like grown men, 54 years, get slapped in the face by a 24-year-old kid. Like, is the Klan real in policing? Is the Klan real? I seen tattoo officers. I seen a lot of stuff. Is that real? Because I know you're not sure with it was a cool officer, Officer Holt. Officer Holt. He was really cool with me. He was cool with me, but he was military, and we used to talk a lot. So, what is the connection with military, Klan, and that type of thing? What with the policing? And is it a such thing as brotherhood with that? How deep does that hole run?
Well, when I call, if you're a police officer and you get into a fight, you call on the radio. Who's coming to save you? A bunch of cops are coming to save you. Right. That's your team. They coming to save you. So there is a certain amount of inside that brotherhood. We look out for one that we feel. Let me finish. We feel a certain way about each other. That's fine. But there's a limit to that, like I said before. But when it comes to the Klan and that thing, how would I know? Because you got to remember, look at me. How much you think I'm going to know about the Klan? Are you talking about the Klan as just the group, or are you talking about the Klan?
Not necessarily the group. When I say Klan, I'm talking about the mentality and those that kind of was raised that way. Because I know the brotherhood. I know y'all supposed to stick together. That's what y'all do. But is it a brotherhood within the brotherhood of what you're saying? Like, yeah, you're a cop first, but then even with it's another little secret thing that's going on. I mean, I'm sure you're probably not going out bowling with everybody and chilling extra with, you know what I'm saying? Is it a group within the group?
There's always a group within a group. You always have people. Like you said, I have my people. I have cops I hang out with. Okay, period. And I have cops that you would never see at my house, never see at my kids' functions, because we ain't cool like that. I got certain people I'm cool with, and these are my friends. These are the people I trust. These are the people I know, and these are the people I hang out with. So everybody has those groups, and it's okay to have them until you decide that you're going to start doing stuff that's against the law. Now that group becomes a gang. That's the issue, and it can't be allowed. And somebody in the group has to say, "Listen, me and you can both be stupid, but we can't be stupid at the same time." One of us got to say, "Hey, stop! We can't do that. We ain't doing that." And it's not being you're not being above the other person, but you're using common sense, and that's where people and sometimes cops start to lose it. You're not using common sense. You know what you're doing is wrong. So why would you do it?
Who trains them? Like, who's in charge of the training? Older officers or military? Like, who's in charge of the training?
You go to an academy. Passaic County has their own academy. Bergen County has an academy. Morris County, State Police, they all have an academy. But the things that you're talking about, this stuff is not taught in the academy. Nobody's teaching anybody to put their knee on somebody's head for 7-8 minutes. Okay, and I would have to say maybe it's learned behavior, but I don't know where you learn that at. The academy doesn't teach anything like that. Nothing.
Brenda Brown said she's proud of you.
Say again?
Brenda Brown says she's proud of you.
Brenda Brown's a good sister.
Yeah, I didn't mean to cut you off. Yeah, because I seen a post, right, with two kids hugging. They be like in kindergarten, a white kid and a black kid, and it said, "Children will play with anybody until someone tells them not to."
Exactly.
So that behavior, that type of detachment for another color or skin is something that is made from the beginning. Like I feel like it's already, you know what I'm saying? It was grown into that person. So when they come, they don't know what to do but be almost indifferent or racist. You know what I mean? To the point.
Look, well, picture this. Picture you raised in a certain. Let's say you're raised in like a Panther family, and you were taught that white people are evil, and this and that, and you believe that. Okay, in your heart, you're taught this from a child. You believe that, and then you go out in the world, and you start to deal with people that don't look like you, and you start to say, "I don't see the evilness that my parents and grandparents told me." So you start to give in to the idea that, you know what, maybe all white people are not evil, but
Mm-hmm.
you've opened your mind to accept them versus someone who says, I'm just gonna, no matter what they show me, I'm just gonna treat them all evil and mean. And that's what people do. Who have to keep you down in order to make themselves feel like they're somebody. Okay, there's people all over
Mm-hmm.
society have to do that. So, and that becomes an issue. I need to be somebody. So, in order to be somebody, I got to step on somebody else's head to make me look good. I got to hold somebody else down, and that's the
Mm-hmm.
world that we live in. So, you have those kind of people, and those kind of people exist in all professions. They're gonna be here. The thing is,
Yeah.
weed them out, and you weed them out by, first of all, not hiring the wrong person for the job. And when you
Mm-hmm.
find out that they are the wrong person, make sure you get them off the job.
But the another term, the self-policing, is like where maybe that's why the guy from Cohen got off, but it's like where the police is judging itself. You know what I mean? Setting the penalties on his own self instead of like an independent entity or somebody, you know, me saying, well, you was wrong by this, so I'm judging. You know what I'm saying? So it's like if you ask another cop to serve a justice to somebody, that's another cop. You know what I mean? It's
Right.
not gonna, it's never gonna get, we're never gonna get justice.
Here's the thing about forums like this. You get to ask anything you want, right?
Yeah.
Because you're asking things that, let's say, you didn't necessarily know about, or the
No.
viewer didn't know about. And now you get the chance to learn some things about the system. And this is important. And I get to learn some things because through the questions, I get to learn what people know, what they don't know, how they feel, and why they feel. So to me, this is a learning experience for me too. But it's self-policing as you described it. You're not going to have a Patterson officer involved in a, let's say, a shooting, a deadly force incident. Patterson police does not investigate that.
Mm.
Okay, that's investigated by the prosecutor's office. Okay, Patterson police, their job is to get there, make sure that the scene is preserved, call the prosecutor's office. The prosecutor's office come out, and the way it was before, the prosecutor's office comes out, and they would take over the investigation because they're separate. Now it's even goes a step further where the AG's office comes out. They take over the investigation. So
What
Patterson
that
has
stand
no,
for?
the Attorney General's office.
Okay.
They come out, they take over the investigation. Patterson has no involvement in their own investigation. And that's the process now. And I don't think most people have an issue with it because a bad shoot is a bad shoot, a good shoot is a good shoot, and the evidence ain't going to change. But now you have an outside entity investigating it. And that's just what it is. So you read that. You can't ask me, well, I shouldn't have to investigate, especially a deadly force incident, against somebody that I'm real tight with. Okay,
Yeah.
and not from the cop standpoint, I shouldn't ask you I'm going to ask you to be a witness or do an investigation on a shooting that one of your boys was involved in. That's not fair to
Yeah.
you. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
not,
You
that's
know how
not
that's
fair.
gonna go. Yeah.
So give it to somebody else. Let them do the investigation, and however it comes out, it comes out.
Yeah. Because you like you said, you was IA, you was internal affairs.
Yes.
And we seeing a habit of a lot of Patterson cops getting convicted of a lot of stuff within the past couple years lately, right? How
Yeah.
long you been off the force, Price? Let me ask you that.
Since August 1st of last year.
Oh, so you just left.
Yep. And I was in internal affairs when all that went on.
You probably got them done. You wasn't
Did you
working on them?
freeze? You there?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I'm back.
I,
Could you
I
tell
just
me? Because I tell you what I think should happen to the officers. But before that, could you explain to the people the difference? I'm not gonna hold you too long. The difference between a murder one, a murder two, and a third degree, like first degree, second degree, and third degree.
let me come back to that. I will come back to that. But let me say
Okay,
this.
okay.
That incident of those 7 or 8 cops going to jail, and
Yeah.
it hasn't been a big conversation, and the news they haven't interviewed the people involved in the investigation directly, because there's only 3 people from the Patterson police involved in the investigation.
Okay,
What's
seven.
not talked about is that was self-policing. That was policing your own. That was
Mm-hmm.
internal affairs, getting information, doing an investigation, and finding out, yes, these guys are wrong, and we're going to go to the FBI and get them charged. That's what that was. So the FBI, it's their job to do this because you can't do it. We don't have the resources to do it. But that investigation started with Patterson Police Internal Affairs doing their investigation, finding out there's something wrong, and reaching out to the next agency. So that's where that started. As far as murder one, murder two, those things, what's important is when it comes to murder one, you're going to have to prove the person's mindset. You have to prove their intent. And those things are hard to prove. Okay, it's hard for me to prove that you left your house with a gun and you shot John Rodriguez. When you left home, that was your intention.
Purposeful. Yeah, you're purposely. Yeah.
That's hard to prove versus you left your house, you had a gun, you fired the gun, and you hit John Rodriguez. That we know is a fact. But to charge, when you start to talk about murder one and things like that, you have to prove the intent. The intent, yes, and that's what becomes hard. And this ain't golf. You don't get a mulligan, you don't get a do-over. You don't get to go in and say, we're going to charge him with murder one, and the jury says, nah, you didn't get murder one. Okay, let's give him murder two. And that doesn't work that way. If they overcharge and they lose, they lose. So you need to know, first of all, you need to say, okay, he did commit the act, but then there's different levels of the act. So you ask yourself, he committed the act, but what can we prove? What can we prove? Can we prove that he had that intention when he left home?
The hand in the pocket, putting the pressure on his leg, the hand in the pocket, that got murder one for me. That was just.
I'm not arguing whether or not it's murder one. What I'm arguing is not even my argument. What I'm saying is
just the difference. Yeah, just the differences. Yeah, I know.
My bad. If they charge him with that, and the prosecutor could be saying the same thing, but then somebody's going to say, "Can we prove it?" And if you can't prove it, now you start to reassess. That's what it comes down to. So I mean, it doesn't sound like it's right because we have the video to say one thing, but what you don't want is to overcharge, and the jury says, you didn't prove that. Now you're in a whole different scenario where, and look at where you are right now today. What do you think the community would do if they went in and, I mean, and there's no way, in my opinion, that they're going to lose this case. But if you go in and charges get downgraded, the people are going to be, it's going to be crazy. Yeah, so you gotta go with what can we convict them for? What can we actually get the conviction for? And that's fair. Everybody wants to win, So what can I prove? I can prove he did it. Yes. Can I prove his intent? Not really. Maybe he intended to hurt. I mean, the video says one thing, but you can't prove that his actions were intent to kill. And that's why sometimes they'll look at it and says we need to readjust so we can get the conviction. And some of these things, people want murder one, but you look at murder two some places and they tell you it's a minimum of 35 years in prison. Does it matter if you got murder one or murder two if he's going away for 35 years? So sometimes people get caught up in numbers instead of getting caught up in the amount of time this person's going to jail for.
And right now he's arrested under 3, right? Murder 3. Third degree, right?
I don't know all the charges. I know I heard different numbers. I haven't even paid attention to the charges.
Mark Osborne, how often are white cops convicted of the crime of killing black men? I'm not sure if he has the percentages of that, but no. You don't have the percentage. I seen a video, right? With the Morris, you familiar with the Morris community?
Morris County? Oh, the Moors.
Moors, yes, the Moors.
Yes.
Have you ever encountered any of them or pulled any of them over or had to give them a ticket or to arrest any of them? Because from my understanding, could you tell the people or what like you deal with when you're dealing with a Moor where they're not a part of how can I say the state or their oath that they're under isn't the same for as far as USA? Like the citizenship, they don't do the Social Security, or they feel like they're a state of their own. Am I saying that right? Their own nation.
Have you ever, and you're a well-read man, have you ever read that anywhere? That these people don't have to give ID, don't have to have a driver's license, all those kind of things. They say
I've read that before, that you don't need a license to operate a vehicle. That it's a trick around that. It was something I read that before, but I didn't know it was attached to the Moors beliefs also. But that's how they move like that. But the
I
guy,
don't, go ahead.
the video I saw, they did not touch him. They did not bring him out the car. He had his flag out the window. He told you, "You're not giving me no ticket." He said, "I'm not signed up to. I don't abide by your rules, your laws. Don't come here." They didn't go to the car. They didn't do nothing. They gave him a ticket, which he probably threw in the window, maybe the cop, and he
Mhm.
sped off and left without no driver's license and nothing. In his vehicle, drove off, and they left him alone. I think it was in the Bay somewhere, California.
I remember the video, but I didn't pay too much attention to it. I just remember seeing it and see how it was going downhill, and it ended. But in that situation, the officer probably did the best thing. I'm going to issue you a ticket, and I can issue you a ticket. And the gentleman in the car said, "I'm not giving you a license." Okay, I'm going to give you a ticket. Run your plate. It comes back to, I write the ticket, stick your ticket in the window. I've done my job. Or you can sit here and fight with him and start saying, "I'm going to snatch you out of the car." For what? A driver's license? Okay, at the end of the day, you snatch a guy out of the car, you're going to charge him with what? Failure to give you a driver's license, resisting arrest, there's a fight. It goes too far now. So the officer, the best thing to do is, listen, write the ticket, go about your business. Because if you can write your ticket, which is your job, which is what you're here to do, you can write a ticket, write the ticket, and go. Okay, and I've never learned anything. I've heard it. I've never learned anything about, and it's not just the Moors, because the Moors look like me and you.
Yeah.
They're sovereign citizens
Yes.
that do the exact same thing. Okay, and they're forsaken. They do the exact same thing. I don't have to do this. I don't have to abide by the rules of a police officer. The sheriff is in charge of the land. I know anything about those rules. I have no idea about those rules.
Now I doubt if he'd be acquitted, Mark Osborne. I don't think he'll be acquitted. What else do I want to talk about? Oh, your book. Would you say your book is more of a solution with a solution book, or more like a just how to control the community and patrol it the right way, or is it a book with solutions?
It has solutions in it because there's a few stories in there of how you can, certain things I've been involved in that have gotten done, that have changed situations. So there are some solutions in there and ideas, but those ideas can grow. You'll have your own ideas about how to improve your community, how to get more lighting in your community. It's all about that. It's all about more lighting, making the community safer, bringing the police and the community together, how to start your own neighborhood block watch association without the police, and how to invite the police in, how you can start it with the clergy, the people in your neighborhood. So it's about making the community better. And then you bring the police in, because the police have a stake in this. They're going to want to be involved in this to help you out with the things you need help with. But it's more about finding ways to do things differently. Okay. And policing, when someone has to go to jail, they have to go to jail. But if they don't have to, then they don't have to. Okay. If you have the option to say, and like I said, sometimes people, you have to lock a person up. There's sometimes you have some discretion. And sometimes you can use that discretion to say, you know what? I don't have to lock you up this time. I'm not going to lock you up this time. And we'll work on it from there. But then that's how you make a better relationship with people. And people start to respect it. When you're fair with people, people start to look at you a little bit differently. And all they want is for you to be fair with them. That's it. Treat a man like a man. And a lot of times, next time he sees you, you're in good shape. He may not like the fact you locked him up, but he respects the fact that you treated him like a man. So community policing is about, it's kind of like you helping me to help you. Tell me what you need the police to do in your community, and we're going to find a way to get you that. And what people want is, they want a response. When someone calls about a gang on the corner in front of their house, they want the police to show up and move the gang. And if you do that, people are, for the most part, they're happy. So people are really looking for a response from the police. So the police need to get that response, but you need to make emotional deposits. And that's where you go to the community before something happens. be in the community, learn the people, learn the guy that owns the store, learn the people the old guys that sit in front of the store outside,
Yeah.
learn who they
Even
are for what they're
even a
gonna help.
step bigger. I mean, we know and understand the the youth and stuff is loitering or they're out. Get to know. I mean, it's not a cool thing for them to talk to police, but when we came up, we knew officers by name. You know what I mean? Wasn't
Right,
that we was toasting with them, but you knew, you know what I'm saying, or whatever. You
right.
respected them. You went about your way and certain things like that. I'm gonna take. I got like maybe 20%. I'm gonna take 5 of y'all questions before we wrap up. But before that, just 5 questions. The 5 questions that I select, I'll ask. I want to ask you this: how do you feel about the looting that's going on around the country?
I
I'm
believe in
taking five
protest.
questions.
I believe in protest. Okay, I believe in protest, and I also believe I may not agree with the looting, but I understand that people are angry. But sometimes you got to ask yourself, is this going to get me a solution to what the problem is? And I don't know if this looting is, but I know it's drawing attention to the is wrong. So now people are starting to look and say, okay, something is wrong. We need to address it. So I don't have an opinion. I'm not going to draw an opinion on what the other man decided. Okay.
Yeah,
I may decide to protest. He decided to break a window. I don't think for me, I'm not breaking the window. That's not what I do. That's what he did to get his anger out. And I'm not going to judge him by it.
yeah.
I just don't see where the solution is in that. But that
Me
is
neither.
my opinion. And I'm not judging the other person. You do what you think is right, and I could think is wrong.
Me neither. I don't see the sense in the looting. I feel like the people that's looting are opportunists. But with that being said, I believe like when it first kicked off, I could understand that frustration, and then you're out and you bust this window, up this, up that, and just running everything. That's maybe the first 24 hours. You understand?
Right.
When you're waking up 72 hours later and 4 or 5 days later, when you're a little less, now you're just looting. Now you're opportunist. The night when it first happened, I understood. Break everything, bro. You're mad. But now I think it's just now people is like selecting, like, yeah, I'm gonna go down to such and such tomorrow. You know what I mean? It's
And
like
and,
that now. And
and
it's
some
everybody. And I wish everybody would stop saying, not to cut you off, that it's just us. It's everybody.
well,
Because
people are
everybody's
saying
equal.
that because
Spanish,
they're not watching
Mexicans.
the videos. If you
Mm-hmm.
watch the videos, you'll see that it ain't just us. First of all, it ain't enough for us to do all this. So it ain't just us.
Mm-hmm.
So it's everybody. And it's listen, you got bad people and you got a lot of people who are opportunists, like you said, who will take advantage of this. And opportunists come in all shapes, sizes, and colors.
Mm-hmm.
And they're taking advantage of this situation for whatever reason, either to make someone else look bad or because they want a new pair of sneakers.
Mm-hmm.
So they're taking advantage of it. And I just disagree, especially when you start to burn down major stores in your city. You're getting rid of that store in your city. Not only that, you're probably putting your own people out of work.
Mm-hmm.
The people who work there are probably people that live right amongst you, and now they're out of work because of that. So I guess it's something that got to be considered.
Yeah. Yeah. Peace, KC. KC just checked in.
What's up, KC?
Yeah, KC just I wanna thank KC for plugging us and putting us together to do this, to have this little dialogue. I hope I'm asking them right. You send me a couple questions, and it's crazy because it's on my phone and I'm on my phone right now. So I can't really get to a lot of the questions. But before we go, just tell them where they could get the book on Amazon. 19. It's a very good read. And I told you I got a business proposition for you because audio books is big now. You want me to read it? I'll read the audio book. You know what I mean? And we could put the audio up on YouTube with the still every. I'm telling you, you'd be surprised how many people while they busy, you know what I mean, that listen to audio books.
We'll
And
sit
for a
down
lot
and
of
talk
people
about
out
it
there
as long as I don't
that's
have to do
looking
it.
for jobs and different things, it's also a site you could go to. It's not off the subject, and where they'll pay you to read books, audio books. So people could look into that too. But yeah. Um, could you just tell the people where they could get your book and everything?
The book is on Amazon. It's called The Guide to Community Policing 3.0. It is $19.99. I believe it's a good read. It's an easy read. It's not. I don't want to say that it's not dummied down, but it's simple stuff that you can read and you can apply. Okay, you're reading a book about things that you can't apply, you know, and well, none of this applies to my neighborhood. This book applies to any neighborhood. You can live in the best neighborhood. So it doesn't apply. I mean, it doesn't just apply here. It applies everywhere.
And it had 4 stars and it had great reviews. I read about 4 of the reviews and it was really good reviews from some other, like not just police and everything, and they gave you real good reviews. So I know, you know, it's gonna be dope. And I'm proud of you if I'm, you know, being an author coming from Patterson, giving back and not afraid. My one quick question. If you weren't retired, could you be able to do this interview?
I could, yes.
Or is it an O for
I've
something?
I've done interviews before. I've done interviews before. Before I retired, I did interviews. But the thing is,
so it's just the person's discretion.
You're limited though. You're limited what you can say. You know, because you're again, and it's not hard stuff. I could do an interview, and maybe I can't mention the agency I work for. Doing an interview, I can talk, but I can't say I work for such and such and go on from there.
All right, I don't want to cut you out. I'm gonna keep cutting you off. All right,
that's okay.
We gonna only got like 4% right now, so we're gonna have to probably wrap this up. I mean, if the people want it, we could come back and do a part 2 at any other you know what I mean, time of day. I just want to appreciate you for jumping on. I hope I touched on certain things. You know what I mean?
Not a problem. We'll do it again. Whatever you want, you call me. We'll sit down. We'll set it up again, and we could talk about something different or go along the same lines. Whatever you need.
All right, yo, I appreciate it. And once again, I'm talking to Lieutenant Dalton Price, Patterson's own author, lieutenant, retired lieutenant. And just thanks, man, for coming through the Tag Mag and shedding some light on you know, policing and stuff like that. We definitely gonna get you back. My co-host, this is our first time doing a pandemic type of show like this. It's usually personal, you know what I mean, when people come to the, you know, the studio and do it. So I want to thank you once again, and enjoy your night, man. And thanks, man, for everything, and be safe.
You got it, brother. All right, be good to yourself, man.
Yeah, I will, man. Love.
Y'all take it easy. Good night.
You too. Lieutenant Price. Yeah, yo, I'm sorry, y'all. I couldn't really see all y'all comments and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? But show, we could bring them back. We could do some more stuff another time. Mike Brown, damn, my shit died. I want to end that shit like.